It's Lee Judge's TV for all my gooners, all my gunners. Yeah, you know where to be. Subscribe to the channel, cause you know it's a lot with the legendary judges and the one damn pot.
Yes, good evening, people. Welcome back to Lee Judge's TV. I'm your host, Dan Potts, and I'm surrounded by people today. It's not just me and Lee, but I am, of course, with him. Lee Judges, how are you doing, sir?
I've just got to say that, come on, boys, our class is that intro, like, you know what I mean? That is good.
You made that, Lee.
Yeah, I've done it all myself, you know, with the help of Harry Shotter, I've done that all myself. So, yeah. So, it's good. Before we start, guys, I've got to just mention it's little Sid's birthday today. He's 13 today, and I know that he's watching. He's a big watcher of the show. He watches all my shows. So, happy birthday, Sid. Enjoy your 13th birthday. Like, yep.
Is he Chelsea or?
No. Do you know what? He could well be Chelsea now because he is an Arsenal fan. But look, you know what they're like at age? They chop and change. Now, his brother Tommy was an Arsenal fan, and the little sod now is a Manchester City fan. So, yeah. And the last time I spoke to Sid, he was actually having doubts, thinking, I don't know why I should support Arsenal. And do you know what?
I don't blame him.
I couldn't really sort of talk him out of it, so I was a bit worried about that. But there you go. Right? So
it's hard work now, isn't it? It is hard work now when kids say, "Why do I support Arsenal?" It's hard, man. How do you?
How can you not support Arsenal? Xhaka's getting a new 4-year deal, mate. What's going on?
Is he?
Oh man, we'll be coming into that, Turkish.
Probably a year's option to extend.
I'll tell you, mate. This is this club all over. Turkish, big up yourself, man. Thanks so much for coming on. How you doing, mate?
No worries, man. It's a pleasure to be on, man. Like I said, first of many.
Yeah, will be, man. Absolutely, 100%. And of course, we're joined by a Chelsea fan because we have got a pre-season friendly. It's Ben from SW6 Lions. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, mate. How are you? You all right?
Yeah, man, I'm all good. And thanks so much for coming on and joining us. We wanted to get a Chelsea fan's perspective, and we are expecting Rory, but he's late as usual. So we'll get a couple of Chelsea fans on as well. Lee, let's start with you. We've got to start with the news of Arsenal signing finally Ben White today. It's only taken 4 years to do his medical, but it is over the line. The worst kept secret in football. I kind of know your opinion on this one, but I can't help but not get too excited because we need more than Ben White. So what's your opinion on it now that it's done?
Oh no, I'm going to say it's quite exciting. It's going to get us up from 8th to 7th, isn't it? Like, I mean, so it's a good signing. So no, I'm pleased with it. I'm going to say it's a good signing. The longest, I suppose, longest transfer. You know, like I can't work that out. Why we signed him on the Euros and it was all agreed, and then it's all taken so much time. Why couldn't he have gone and had his medical and signed before he went on holiday? He could have had an extra couple of days off. But I don't really understand that. But anyway, we got him. I don't know if he'll play against Chelsea. I doubt it. But probably make his debut at Tottenham, I'd imagine, in the next game after this. But no, listen, I'll say it now. This signing gives me confidence for us going to the next 2 weeks. Because if you're spending 50 million on a central defender, you've got money to spend in areas which we all know we need to spend in, which is in the midfield. We know if we're going to challenge for the likes of top four and Chelsea for that top four, for that fourth space, we need to be getting some midfield players in, So listen, if we don't get the midfield players in, we ain't going to be in the top four. It's as simple as that. If we get the midfield players in, we've got a chance. I'm not saying that we're going to listen. Chelsea, as we're going to talk about in a minute, good side as they are, will strengthen. They will get some players in. Manchester United is strengthening. Liverpool is strengthening because they're getting players back. And well, let's forget about. Let's say if Man City get their 2 targets, let's forget about the Premier League and concentrate on other things, because it's guaranteed them winning it if they pick up Grealish and Kane. That will be the end of it. But in saying that, Grealish and Kane played in the Euros and they didn't win the Euros, did we?
Mate, you got David Luiz. You don't need Ben White.
Well, I got David Luiz no more. Don't you start?
He's finally gone, mate. He's finally gone. He's finally gone.
He's finally gone. Chelsea pensioners.
Man, before I come to Turkish, I want to welcome Rory to the show. Rory, how you doing, sir?
Sorry, I'm late, Dan. I'm down my nan's. She didn't make it easy for me.
Man, it's all good. We meant 6 p.m., not 6
No,
a.m.
we're just
bro.
slagging him off. Don't like that.
Sorry,
mate.
Lee.
You just slagging him right off a minute ago, like calling him
No,
everything, like, you know.
You
So
know what? You're right, though, Lee. You're right. Punctuality is the making of the man. It's the one thing I usually bring to the party. It's the one thing I
know you do. I know you do. Like,
Yeah, it's downhill from it.
What's it?
But what's she doing?
Who's that?
You get my name.
Sorry. Get your man in. Get your man in. That's it. Like,
get him
hello,
on.
man.
Yes,
Right.
man.
Say hello.
You're right, yeah.
Give away, Phil. Give away. There you go. There we go. Sorry, lad.
I thought she'd be cooking your dinner, Rory. Do you know what I mean? But she's out in the lounge. What's happening, mate?
Soon enough, I'm sure. Soon enough.
Yeah,
How are you all?
absolutely. Yeah, we're good, man.
Oh,
Listen,
good, mate.
thanks for joining us, man. I'm gonna come to Turkish. We're just talking about Ben White. It's finally being announced. Turkish, what's your dealings with this? This is obviously an upgrade on Rob Holding, but it's a lot of money. People are saying, what you making of this signing, mate?
When we was first linked to him, I was kind of. I don't know much about Ben White. Let me get it out there. I don't know much about Ben White, but through Leeds fans and Brighton fans, I've heard very good things. Very good things indicating he brings a lot of things we need to the back line, especially with Luiz gone now and his ball playing ability and whatnot. But when we was first linked, the Saliba situation was very much in the forefront of my mind because coming into the transfer window, I had what I think were the priorities for Arsenal listed. And right centre-back for me was covered with that Saliba signing in 2019. I thought we were going to go into this season, Saliba and Gabriel. Even Arteta told us he's part of the plan. So I thought, okay, we're not going for a centre-back. That's fine. Ben White comes about. William Saliba goes over to Marseille. Now, if I forget about William Saliba, I'm very excited about Ben White. And I say that because we haven't had a fresh centre-back partnership for so long. You know, Gabriel and Ben White, they're both young, they're both new, they haven't been flooded with mistakes and foolishness of years and games gone by. So that's exciting for me. And on my channel earlier, I was asked about, 3 positives heading into the new season. I could only list 2, but one of them was the centre-back partnership that we're going to watch unfold. Whether it works or not, it'll be interesting to find out. Hopefully for us, it does. But right now, I'm happy. 50 million spent. Lee mentioned earlier that, the 50 million on White gives him hope that we'll have money for elsewhere. But on the flip side, it just might be incompetence yet again. So we'll see over the next few weeks whether we do have any more money, because we've been linked to Locatelli, Neves, Basuma, and so on over the last 4 weeks. Instead, we're getting, Granit Xhaka back in with a new contract. We'll discuss that later on. But it just seems like 2 steps forward, 4 steps backwards all the time with us.
Man, I think you summed up pretty much how I'm feeling, to be honest with you. I'm worried for William Saliba's future. And the reason I say that is he's just been given his damn shirt number, Ben White. He's just been given the number 4, right? So I sit there and think, so if Saliba was out, sort of, I don't know, on loan, and it was kind of like, nope, he's definitely not part of the future, I can see why he's been given his shirt number. I just think it's like double whammy for him now. It's like, look, You're not in our plans. Ben White's our guy. You're just not. You just go and enjoy France, mate. And apparently there's a huge talent there. So I'm frustrated with the William Saliba thing. Let me bring Rory into the mix, because I know that a lot of people are comparing our transfer business, Rory, with Manchester United's. Rafael Varane is on between 250 to 400k a week. He was, cheaper than Ben White, but you can see surely why Varane was never really an option for us, but Ben White potentially is. What's your makings of this signing for Arsenal, mate?
I think it's a good signing for Arsenal. I think for Arsenal, this works on so many levels. I think Ben White's a brilliant player. If you look at the situation that happened with him, he was at Brighton. He then got a loan move to Leeds. He was fantastic for them in the year that they got promoted. Bielsa played him in virtually every game that year, and he's never looked back. I think Leeds wanted to sign him. That didn't work out. He played for Brighton that season in the Premier League and was brilliant. Got the call up to England, so you pay the England waiting. There's a premium there. And now he's got his move to Arsenal. I think from Arsenal's perspective, if you look at the trajectory of the player, this is only brilliant news. I realise the company that I'm in here, but my question wouldn't be, is it a good move for Arsenal? Yes, it's a very good move for Arsenal. My actual question would be, is it a good move for Ben White? And that is, I think, more of a debate.
Right, there's the Chelsea in you. There's the Chelsea in you. You know what I mean?
But Lee, do you know what I mean? He's a player who's gone from strength to strength. Yeah, he's gone from strength to strength. He's played for England. Well, he's been called up to England. I'm not necessarily sure. Yes, from an Arsenal perspective, it's a brilliant signing. And kudos to the club for making it happen. Kudos to Arteta. Ben White obviously believes in the project at Arsenal. My issue isn't necessarily about Arsenal. It's about Ben White and his career aspirations, because there was talk of him potentially going to United at one point, wasn't there?
Yeah, and I think it's a good question. I know that we're all sort of saying in a bit of banter with it, but I think it's genuine, because the way we're going at the moment with no European football, not really been great, finishing 8th consecutively. Ben, I'll bring you in here. Like, is that a player that could have done better at your club? Because obviously centre-back is a position I believe you want to look at trying strengthening. Do you think that would have been an okay move for you as a Chelsea fan, £50 million, and a good move as far as Ben White's concerned?
I wouldn't take Ben White at Chelsea, to be fair. I think we've got Rudiger, Christensen. I think Zuma's going out, isn't he, Rory?
Yes, I think Zuma is leaving.
Ham?
Yeah, about
West Ham, is that
40
right?
million quid. Yeah.
Yeah, so we do probably need to strengthen someone in.
40 million. Wow.
Yeah,
Are you lot howling? Are you lot howling about that? Jesus. You'd take that, right?
Really? Yeah, I'd probably take it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, you would take
I think
it.
40. I think 40. Well, when you think if Ben White's 50, if you think about what Zuma's achieved in his career and what Ben White's achieved in his.
How about you compare him to Varane, though? If you compare him to Varane at 40 mil, compare their achievements then, it's not really the same.
No, but that's to do with the length of time on a contract as well.
Fair.
Zuma, though, before his injury, he had a bad injury, didn't he, if I remember rightly?
Yeah, his knee, he had the knee injury, went the wrong way.
Before that, he was the big thing, wasn't he? Like, like big, powerful, strong, compared to like someone like Michael Dubry as well. Like, that big, powerful player that never quite made it. No, Dubry, I tell you what, when Dubry first got into the Chelsea side, he was quality.
Yeah. You're right.
He picks
Set
up.
pieces is really good. Set pieces is good. I think he's just clumsy. Like off the ball, I don't like following his play on that. I think he gets caught out. But obviously we brought in like Thiago Silva as well. He's done class. He's been class. I think we've signed him on a new deal, new 1-year deal. So I think that'll be his last season, won't it? Probably. But we're going to have to strengthen. We are going to have to strengthen soon. I don't know who's really at. We've always been linked with that Koulibaly, haven't we? But,
yes, there was lots of talk. There was lots of talk there. Overall, I think, like if you analyse Arsenal getting hold of Ben White, it's brilliant for them.
Yeah,
it's just the aspirations that Arsenal have displayed. But obviously, he's had a meeting with Arteta and he's bought into the project. So it's only good news. Yeah, it's only good news for Arsenal. Annoyingly.
Yeah.
You can look at the top 5 clubs, let's say, and say Liverpool, City, Chelsea, United, and let's say Leicester. Yeah, does Ben White get into any of those sides? No. So it's the next in line would be probably Arsenal, even though we finished 8th in the last couple of seasons. So essentially, it's the only step up he could have made.
Yeah, agreed.
I think he's a good player. I'm with Rory on this. I watched a bit of him with Leeds. You can't go through a whole season of Championship without being strong, mentally, physically, as well as everything else. So he's done that. He's done the hard yards, and that's toughened him up. Leeds were desperate to sign him, So, but now Arsenal have got him, and sometimes I'm on this theory. I look back. People could go back in the old days. Steve Bold, Lee Dixon come from Stoke. You know what I mean? I'm not buying into that. I think he's a very, very good central defender, and I think that he would get into certainly get in the Man United's team.
I was going to say he would definitely partner
with Varane there, Maguire.
With Varane there.
Obviously Varane.
Yeah. Chelsea. I still think if Chelsea are going to challenge Manchester City for the league this season, they're going to have to improve in the central defensive area, in my opinion. So I'm not saying that Ben White is that one, but that's something that they'll be looking to do. And
I think he probably is, Lee. I think he is. I think the assessment was a little bit harsh, because I think that he probably does. If you look at Chelsea, the way that we play, we set with 3 at the back. Thiago Silva, the Rolls Royce of a footballer that he is, he can't keep fit. So realistically, we've kind of got 3 players competing for 3 positions, especially if Zuma leaves. And I think if Ben White was at Chelsea, look, if Chelsea's season goes as we hope it will next season, we'll play 50-odd games. If we played 50 games, Ben White was a Chelsea player, he'd certainly feature for us. I think he's a really good player. I honestly do. And it's slightly frustrating that you've got him. Like, to be totally frank, I wish I didn't think that, but I think it's really good business from Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Rory. I'm with you there.
Time will certainly tell, won't it? Because it's either going to be an absolute masterstroke or it's going to be a hell of a lot of money on a player that is looks bang average in our back line. The only good thing I will say is that defensively we have actually improved under Arteta. I'm not a massive fan of what I'm seeing. However, we have seemed to defensively sort ourselves out. Before we come on to the weekend's game, I've got to mention it because Turkish brought it up, and it was kind of great news for Ben White, but for me, frustrating news to hear that we cannot get rid of this Swiss statue in our midfield yet again. So we're stuck with him. So, Turkish, because you brought it up, I'm going to come to you. What did you make of this news that we are keeping, it seems, Granit Xhaka? Is it all rumours? Is it a ploy to try and get more money off Roma? Or do you actually think there's genuine truth in this?
Not just stuck with him. We're offering him a new contract, apparently, and a pay rise. So we're not just stuck with the lad. We were offering him a new contract and a pay rise. He's 28 years of age. He's coming off what people call a great tournament with Switzerland. And no other club wants to spend 20 million euros on a central midfielder who's been in his prime, who's played in the Premier League for the last 4 or 5 years and has had a great tournament with Switzerland. 20 million euros.
Was it under Arteta when he threw the captain's armband and all that?
Nah, Emery.
Oh, was it? Right.
But
the thing is,
it takes him to 33 years of age.
This is a madness for me. This is a madness for me. We need to say bye to this dude. Yeah, we cannot progress with this guy in our midfield. We've had him for 5 years. We haven't kicked a Champions League football since he's been a part of this club. He slows all our play down. And I know Lee is a bit of a fan and says he's been one of our best midfielders. I still don't care. I need to see this guy gone. It's sideways and backwards, just like Mohamed El Neni. This guy
do
needs
you
to
know
be
what, Dan?
progressed upon. Go on, Rory.
Dan, is it because, like, I find it quite interesting. Obviously, hearing you Arsenal boys having that conversation, I find it quite interesting because from the outside looking in, I think Xhaka's all right. I think he's a decent player. I also think that the way that he performed for Switzerland in the Euros was admirable. Like, that performance against France will be remembered. Like, that's going to be remembered the way Ozil against England in 2010 is going to be remembered. Like, it was a proper performance. And I don't know. And look, you know the tribalism that we all display as football fans? I think there is a place for it. But I wonder, you know how he did that thing where he took off the armband and took off the shirt in a way that Jay Bothroyd did something. Jay Bothroyd did something like that, didn't he? Didn't he throw it at who was it? Not David O'Leary. He threw his armband at Liam Brady, and like basically Jay Bothroyd never played for Arsenal. Are you looking at it through the prism of the respect for the shirt rather than the player that he actually is?
So that's a great question because it's a lot of fans that are. Yeah, a lot of fans have had enough of that incident. For me, I've had enough of 5 years of constant errors. There is no other player that has made more errors leading to goal than Granit Xhaka in Premier League history, mate. It is ridiculous. Yeah. So I look at that situation and I can forgive mistakes. I can't forgive mistakes year in, year out. For every great free kick, great pass, he's always grabbing somebody by the throat. For every single pass or spray that he does, he's kicking the ball against Chris Wood and watching it go in. For everything that he does that's great, that people say is fantastic leadership, he steps over the ball and then Wolves go and score. This for me is just not unforgivable now with this guy. And although you say I think Xhaka's all right, I bet you would not have him in the Chelsea centre midfield. So that means that we won't want him in the Arsenal centre midfield because we're trying to catch up.
I've got to pull you up on that, mate. You can't do, look, bearing in mind, I come from an era where it was you boys on top. But you can't do, this would have been the equivalent of me saying something like that to you when you won the double and we in his 10th. He's won the Champions League. Of course he doesn't get in our team. But you can't do that. You got to be looking, does he get in the Tottenham team? And the answer is probably yes.
But, and I agree with you, but we're trying to get to your level. We ain't going to do that with Granit Xhaka, mate. We need to progress from him.
Do you know my take on Granit Xhaka? I'm going to say this now.
Oh, no.
If you, he's my mate or nothing like that. Like, I mean, like, but take that all aside, you didn't know Granit Xhaka, right? And you just put a blank sheet, and you watched that game against France, and you said, Arsenal were linked with Granit Xhaka, you'd be going, oh, God, he looks great. He looks that. I just think Granit Xhaka is a very, very good player, but he's in the wrong league. I just think that the league just doesn't suit him. I think it's a little bit more physical, a little bit more quicker. And that's why I think that perhaps we should make the split. But I'll tell you this now, whether you think he's going to get, I don't go down that route and all that. Like, you know, isn't it funny? Something like Smith Rowe, all of a sudden he's being linked with Aston Villa. Aston Villa are putting in bids. All of a sudden, no, I've never wanted to leave. I wanted to sign for Arsenal contract. So it could be a little bit of a tactical move to try and say, right, you know, if you're not interested in Roma, then we're not going to do business. So I think at the end of the day, if you want to get top four, you've got to improve on Xhaka, in my opinion. But at this moment in time, I don't think you should. Listen, I know lots of Chelsea fans criticising Jorginho, like they wanted him out and whatever, blah, blah, blah. He's just come back from a fantastic Euro. So maybe the Premier League doesn't suit him or not. You Chelsea guys know that. But what I'm saying is we've seen enough. We've seen enough of him to know that he's not what we want to get us to the promised land.
I think Xhaka's bang average. Like every time I've watched him, I think he's been bang average. Like obviously Jorginho, I rate Jorginho, but I've done a bit of a 360 with him because I used to watch Jorginho and I used to think he's slow, but I sort of like watched him in the Euros as well. He was so good. But Xhaka, I just think I don't know what he's good at. I don't know what he's good at. Like he can't he's not a great tackler, is he?
He's good at free kick. He's good at free kicks that day at the Emirates, mate.
Yeah, it was very good free kick.
Yeah.
Boxing Day was quite good. Boxing Day, is that?
Yeah. But to take you forward, he's not good enough.
Yeah, I agree. I'm down that line.
Even after that Chelsea goal, Rory, Ben, Xhaka came out and said, I like to wait. This is exactly what he said. After the Burnley red card, a lot of fans started talking, but I like to do my talking on the pitch. Bear in mind, he scored a free kick against you lot, but we was a 9th or 10th position. That's not the mentality needed to push us on.
Nah.
So true.
Yeah, I agree.
True.
Yeah,
It
and it's
so
things
true.
like that, like the nuances of the player. Like it's all very well for me to go, well, he had a good game. He had a good game against France. You boys watching for 5 years, of course your opinion on it is correct. I wouldn't contest that. I just know that sometimes we can all get invested in the tribalism. And the thing is, once the fella's taken his shirt off and thrown it at Liam Brady, he's never playing for Arsenal again. Once Xhaka's taken the armband off and told the fans to F off, I think he could play like Zidane, and some of you might still be like, nope. And I'd understand that mentality.
Rory, Chelsea fans wouldn't accept that, would they?
I don't think Arsenal fans have, though. I think what we're hearing here is a lot. I think what we're hearing here is it's that happened when he took off the armband and flicked the V's at the fans. What we're hearing here is that coming through.
I would
they don't
struggle.
even know it. It's like osmosis. They're saying he slows the play down, but what they mean is he took the armband off and flicked the V's at the fans.
I flipped it around with Chelsea. The goalkeeper that you had didn't come off in the cup final.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like,
his Chelsea career's plummeted because of that. You know what I mean?
I completely agree. Yeah, because
listen, I agree with that side of things. Things happen like that, disciplinary. You know, sometimes you do things you regret, and if the club would have got rid of him that day, then it was fair to say that they would have. And I think, do you know what? If they'd have had a good bid for him that day, they probably in that window, I think they would have took it, like, you know. But it's fair play. I think he's won a few fans round since that, but there's fans that he's never going to win round, and Dan is one of them.
Turkish, you rate him.
Say that again.
You know what? Someone in the chat as well.
Do I rate Xhaka? Nah.
So I'm the only one that does. It's only because I've sat next to him.
I didn't think you would
Lee's
either.
mate. That's what it is. It's Lee's mate. That's what it is. So even Pap knows. He said, talk about releasing pressure. We just mentioned Xhaka to Dan Potts. He knows. He just knows. It's not just him, by the way. There's a few that we are stuck with at this club because of our previous manager that everyone wants to put a statue outside the ground for. Decided to stick everyone on 200k a week, even if your name's Saad Kolasinac. And now we can't get rid of anyone. Anyway, that's another story. Before we start to go into the preseason and whatnot for Chelsea and Arsenal, Turkish, let's come to you on this one. We've obviously trying to do some transfer business, but failing in terms of selling players. What's your thoughts on this, man? How difficult is this going to be for Arteta and Edu to get this right in terms of players out before we can get anybody in? Because we ain't sold anyone, bro.
Yeah, impossible. They've left themselves a very impossible task now. What, with 4 weeks left till the season starts, we still need at least 3 people in and at least 5 out. That's not going to happen. And that's something I've cried for a long time. proactive. We need to be proactive. We need to start a transfer window on the front foot. Don't look around at what Chelsea, City, United, Liverpool, Leicester are doing. Focus on ourselves. Because far too often this season I've heard Chelsea haven't bought no one. Liverpool have only bought one. Look at where they are. You know, Chelsea just won Champions League. Liverpool, City are league winners of the last 2 years. Why are we looking at them and determining where we are in the business sense based off of them? That doesn't make sense. We need to be proactive. And with 2 weeks today till the Brentford game, which only Ben White will be a part of. If we were to make a new signing in the next 2 weeks, he won't be a part of that game. And then an extra 2 weeks to the transfer window closes. It's impossible for them to get it right now. Impossible. And that's the task that, you know, is on hand now. It's Kroenke's fault, but Edu and Arteta have told us time and time again that they're backed by him, they're supported by him, and therefore they are the puppets in the forefront now.
Bruv, I could not agree more with everything you've just said. Lee, I'm going to come to you because Turkey just brought up some great points there. There's 2 weeks until we kick off for the season. We've got no backup goalkeeper. We've improved one position in the team in Ben White, who's better than Rob Holding. We've got the same midfield. We've got the same strikers who can't seem to score goals. And Saka, our best player, isn't going to be fit to start the season. So
less Odegaard.
Less Odegaard as well. So we've got just Smith Rowe. Why should I be positive for the start of this season, Lee Judges?
No. Listen, this is the thing. It's going to take a little while to sort this out. Like, look, listen. Manchester United have brought in a couple of big guns. I mean, I don't see them getting rid of too many players at the moment. And also Chelsea have still got to do some business. And Manchester City at this moment in time haven't done anything yet. They've only started opening negotiations. There's somewhere along the line there's going to be a domino effect, and maybe that's what's going to start it. I don't know. Arsenal have done well to get Ben White, but they obviously need to get some players. And listen, we've got 2 weeks. It doesn't matter if we beat Chelsea or we lose to Chelsea on Sunday. It doesn't matter if we beat Tottenham or we lose to Tottenham on the following week. When it does matter is on the 13th, Friday the 13th. Can you believe that? Friday the 13th we start our season. Unbelievable. It's written in the stars. That is when we start our season. And if we're not ready by then there's consequences. I know that you've got another couple of weeks, but listen, we've been there before when things have not gone well. I remember 6-2 Man United, and then we made 3 or 4 signs. The
8-2, mate. 8-2. Don't get that wrong. It wasn't 6-2.
No, it was 8-2. I'd left by then. Do you know what I mean?
We signed up.
So what I'm saying is, so Arsenal have got to start learning their lessons and making sure they do things right. Listen, Arsenal are not going to go in, surely, to the season with no backup goalkeeper, no midfield players. The incompetence would be just too much. You know what I mean? So I've got faith it's this moment in time that Arsenal will do the right things and get things done. Because I just don't think a football club can be that incompetent. I really don't.
But on the flip side, Lee, do you think Arsenal will try get away with maybe for the first game of the season, Okonkwo as backup and Xhaka back in the side because we couldn't sell him, and that's your midfielder and backup goalkeeper there?
Listen, you could probably do that against Brentford, but it's Russian roulette. If I'll be honest, you can't afford to do that the next 2 games after that. Chelsea and Man City, the 2 teams that are going to contest the title with. Now, I'm not saying at the end of the day that when you go to, if you got all those 5 players in, that you're going to go to Man City and win that game. That would be a tough ask with whatever you do. So they may look at it and go, do you know what? If we spend an extra 10 million, we can get those players in. But if we wait, we can get them in the game after. I could see Arsenal doing that because they know that they're not going to win it. Listen, it's down. It's for me. If Arsenal lose to Brentford on Friday the 13th, I repeat, on Friday the 13th, we are then in trouble because I can't see us beating Chelsea at this moment. Not with the team that we've got. We're being realistically. You know what I mean? Like, I can't. We're certainly not going to beat Manchester City with the team that we've got. So it's on the manager. It's on Edu to make their decisions. And if we're less short come the end of the season, under the end of the transfer window, then there's just two people to blame.
Yeah,
You're in a
I
sticky
think it's spot on.
Because who do you get in? Who are you linked with?
Who are we not linked with?
I'll tell you what, we're linked
not,
with. We've got more links than the chain. You know what I mean? Like, it's just unreal. When I look at it, like, you know, we've got. Well, listen, let's talk a little bit about Arsenal and be realistic about it. Manchester United and Arsenal. Difference between Arsenal and Manchester United. They went for Sancho all last season, right? And they've got him this season. All last season, we went for a while, all the way up till the wire. Do you remember it? Like, we're not even like in for him now. So how can for one season you began pulling it all out to go and get someone, and then the next season his price tag halves, and you're still not involved or getting it? I just don't get it. It's crazy. So listen, the fact is that, you know, our Arsenal don't really, you know, let their business out very, very early. So we're just going to. We're just going to have to believe in them and just hope that they do it. And I think they will. You don't sign a £50 million defender when you don't really need it, and then neglect the other areas. It is incompetence at the highest level, and I don't think Arteta, Edu, and whoever at Arsenal is that incompetent.
That's what I mean. Football's all about the owners, isn't it?
We're going to find out.
That's the bit. That's the bit that gets clipped, isn't it? As you start the season with a centre half, that's the bit.
Yeah, that is. You know it. Let's move on to Chelsea. But before we do, I'd love to get your boys' take on things. Looking at our football club, because it's great to get opposition fans. Ben, we'll start with you. What do you make of Arteta and Arsenal coming up this season? Could you see anything happening there in terms of a project, or do you just think it's too big a job for him, mate?
I think it's similar to sort of Lampard. I think it's too big of a job for him. Tactically, like obviously Rory and I as well. When Lampard went, like I was devastated, like so annoyed with the board as well. But then you see Tuchel come in, and it was like been a big difference. So I think Arteta, I think he's bang average. I think you need someone better in. Who do you get now though? I don't know. I don't know who you'd go out and get now. Obviously, Spurs had talks with Conte, so obviously you probably get links with Conte. But again, he needs to buy players. He wants his own players. So it's that thing of if you get rid of Arteta, which I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's going to win you an FA. Well, and he's won you an FA Cup. I don't think he. I think to go to the next level, I think you need to. I think you need to change him. But like, who's out there? That's the thing for me. I don't know who's out there.
Well, the one who's out there is the one that Conte. Yeah, it is Antonio Conte.
Like, can you get him?
One. I don't think we will, because I don't think the Cronkies will sit there and say, right, we want this guy, and then we're going to give you 400 million to go and spend what players you want. And I think that's what we need to be spending to get right up there. So
we've got Arteta. He's going to turn it around this year. Come on, have the faith.
That's what I mean, though. Football's all about the owners nowadays, isn't it? It's about if you've got good owners, you'll do well.
Yeah. That's it. Literally.
Turkish knows that, man. Turkish and me.
Well, yeah, I listen to stuff like he got good points
on the Cronky stuff. It is dreadful. But Rory, let's come to you quick, because you know you were a fan of Lampard. I remember speaking to you, and you wanted it to work for him. I think every Arsenal fan deep down wants it to work for Arteta, because obviously he's a player from the club, and we want to see a young coach in football doing well. But I don't get it. What are your thoughts, mate?
What with regard to what happened to Lampard?
No. Sorry, with
regard to Arteta, it's so difficult, isn't it? Because he won that FA Cup, beating Chelsea in the final and Manchester City in the semi-final. That is an awful lot of credit in the bank, and he deserves that, because the game is about accruing silverware. If you win silverware, like that's what it's about. I mean, people like to talk about top four finishes and whatever, but for me, that's kind of neither here nor there. It is about silverware. And the fact that he landed at Arsenal and won two I know the other one was a Charity Shield, but look, you'd rather win it than lose it, right? He won 2 bits of silverware in the same month. You kind of go, okay, Arsenal are onto something here. And as it progressed, there was a moment. You know how you have these moments? Like, I often backed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but then there was a moment, the Europa League final against Villarreal, when he was outsmarted by Unai Emery, where I said enough. And I think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is out of his depth. And why they're giving him a new deal, I really don't know. I had a moment like that, sort of an epiphany moment with Arsenal. And it was over Christmas. I watched a game. I was away for Christmas. I remember watching a game in a pub. And it was, you played Burnley at the Emirates and you lost 1-0. And that was a day where I was just like, oh gosh, like they've got to sack him now. I just don't think that he is right. And I think the reason why it's so obvious that he isn't right is because like Antonio Conte is one of the best managers in the world at the moment. Like absolutely a genius, a hero,
Agreed.
somebody I idolise and adore, and somebody who would come in and revolutionise Arsenal day one. Like he took a team that finished 10th to the title. He took Victor Moses and Marcos Alonso to the title. He is top tier. He is currently looking for work. And I believe that if Arsenal really wanted to progress, if Arsenal really wanted to launch a serious and sustained bid for the Premier League next season, you just do what Antonio Conte wants. Because look at what he's done. I think he's won the league 7 out of the 11 that he's competed in. He started Juve's dominance. He then ended Juve's dominance. He came to Chelsea and won the league in the season where it went badly, by the way. You know when every Chelsea fans are throwing the toys out the pram and that?
You're
the
out
bad
of Europe,
season.
aren't
Yeah, the bad season. We beat Man United in the final of the FA Cup and finished 5th. Like, that's the bad year. I just think Antonio Conte is the guy. I genuinely do. I love him. And I think with him loitering around, when you've got Arteta, he's obviously not as good a manager as Arteta. And I grew up in an era where Arsenal demanded excellence in every position, from the top down, right? It was David Dean. It was David Dean's boy. It was like excellence all the way through, which is why you went unbeaten, which is why you won the double, which is why all of those things happened. You've got the opportunity of excellence in Antonio Conte, but you're persevering with somebody that we know isn't as good. Like, whatever you think of Arteta, nobody would make a case for him being a better manager than Antonio Conte, would they?
Absolutely, 100%, mate.
He's one of them,
How
though.
can you even?
Arsenal.
He's not one of us.
Arsenal got to do what
He's been sold to us as one of us in that, you know, him and Edu, they've come in, you know, they're a nice smiley package and whatnot. Ex-Arsenal players, they've both lifted trophies. But what Rory said is bang on. If the Cronkays and the board want me to trust them a bit, then the first step would be to bring in a manager like Conte. And then I could be like, hold on, if you could sway Conte to come here and you could talk him round, then I actually maybe should trust for at least a year or two to see what happens. But they won't do that because that is not the aim, to change what's happening. The aim is to just keep us as quiet as possible every transfer window.
Well, one thing we are doing, and Pap's come in the chat here and said it, Dan, can you ask the two lads to stop sending their bad apples to Arsenal? Willian, Gallas, and Ketia, Luiz, and they forgot Yossi Benayoun. To be fair, did a right job on loan. But
do you know the funny one there? Do you know the funny one there, Dan? Do you see how he's mentioned Gallas? I remember when that was done. I remember when the Gallas thing happened.
He was angry.
And everybody thought that you done well out of that. Everyone was like, "Oh, we've done you there." Yeah, I'm overlooking the Kilburn High Road, right? I'm at my nan's Arsenal area where I grew up. All my mates at the time were like, "Oh, we've got Gallas. We're gonna show you what's what." Isn't it funny how it all pans out?
Mate, that was
Do
never.
you know what? It was desperation because we needed a centre half, and we had Gal Creature. We felt that we could get rid of, we could get away with Ashley Cole, but Ashley Cole was outstanding. You know,
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That was
well, I mean, the combination of it, the way that ended, the way, like, obviously it started off with Arsenal fans saying, "Oh, mate, we've done you, we've got Clichy," and it ended with Ashley Cole kissing the European Cup and William Gallas crying at St Andrews. Like, that's just that's
you know it.
That's the joke.
And then down to Spurs to make it even worse.
I know. Has anyone had less principle than that man? Like, it's unbelievable, isn't it? Like, what are you doing? Yeah.
There's not many players in the Premier League era can say that they've played for Chelsea, Tottenham, and Arsenal.
That's shocking.
No,
Isn't it?
it's very rare actually, that Chelsea, Arsenal, and Tottenham fans will agree that they dislike someone. Like, usually, if I dislike them, you'll like them or whatever. This man has got, like, he's universally sewn up London. I can't imagine West Ham fans are too fond of him either.
So true. And do you know what the worst thing is? As Chris Ward says here, we gave Gallas the number 10 shirt, mate. That's what's even weird. What was that all about?
Because he asked for it. He asked for it, so we gave it to him. We bend over when they request things.
It is like that, mate. You know it. Boys, let's get some predictions into this weekend's game and then sum up what we think is going to be happening across both clubs this season. Lee Judges, let's start with you. I know it's Chelsea and it's pre-season and we got Spurs after that. How serious are we going to be taking this at the weekend, or is it about fresh legs in game and minutes?
Do you know what? I was talking to my mate today who used to play football with, like, and we were saying first couple of weeks into pre-season, games don't matter and all that. But within 2 games, like 2 weeks before the season, your fitness should be there now, and you're now actually looking at the players like, which we're not doing, but you would actually, if when we was playing, think, oh, new centre forwards come in, he looks good, oh, this could be a good season for us and that. Right, okay, well, we're playing a team that's 2 leagues above us today. Let's see actually where we are and where we can't be. And I think it's a good gauge. And I think, like, you know, these next two games are really good for us. Chelsea and Tottenham will be a gauge of one that's a lot better than us and the other one that's in and around us. So it will be a good test. And I think these games are going to be good for us. I don't care what anybody says. Pre-season, I don't want no excuses about pre-season. Oh, we didn't go to America. We've had games behind closed doors. We haven't had to travel. We haven't had to do a lot of this sort of stuff. I think this pre-season has been beneficial for us because we've spent time at home. We've been able to work on things, so I don't see it too bad. And I listen. You can go on about the Charity Shield. It doesn't gauge nothing. It doesn't really, but it's nice, you know, to see you get off to a good start. I want to see things against Chelsea, which I'm looking at and thinking they're different to what I see last season. And that's all I'm looking for tomorrow on Sunday. Can we, you know, when Chelsea are compact, can we break them down? Can we do this? Can we do that? And I don't care whether it's 2 weeks to go to the season. I want to see little indications now of what the season is going to be about. And I think in pre-season, 2 weeks before, you do get to see that.
Yeah. Do you know what, Lee? I agree, mate. Do you know where I've changed my mind entirely on this. A few years ago, 5 years ago, it was, I would have said all my life up until that point, pre-season's irrelevant. It's about fitness. I don't care if you lose 10-0. It's just about whatever. And we had a pre-season, right, that was terrible. And I went to America. We played in Washington, New York, and Charlotte in North Carolina. I went to all the games, and we were rubbish, like really rubbish. But we were champions, I think. So we kind of went, I was saying the whole time, it doesn't matter. We're champions. We're going to be great. Pre-season's irrelevant. We finished 10th. And ever since then, I've kind of gone, pre-season, it doesn't matter. The results do count. It isn't only about fitness. You do need to see it coming together. Because also it kind of builds belief, doesn't it? Like I was in Shepherd's Bush the other day. At Christian. It was a day that QPR had played. QPR beat Manchester United. I don't even know if you know. QPR bashed up Manchester United 4-2. I think all the QPR fans in the pub afterwards, they're like their spirits were lifted. It's good, just for the whole just for the. Sorry, but like
confidence, yeah.
It's good. Like they were talking to me about getting promoted. They're telling me Lyndon Dijk will be playing in the Premier League, and it's obviously nonsense. But it's just good to have that belief and whatever. So I think that results do start to count about now.
Yeah, I think you're right, to be honest with you. And because of who it is, Turkish as well, obviously everyone wants to beat Chelsea, don't they? So what do you make of it this weekend, bro?
Exactly what Lee and Rory were saying. With 2 weeks to go, until the first game of the season, this is where it starts to take shape. This is where in most pre-seasons, you'll have most of your squad ready. Most of them will be back from their holidays, international tournament breaks and whatnot. And you'll start seeing what you expect to see in the season. The friendlies we've had over the last 4, Hibs, Rangers, Millwall and Watford, I think literally it was just to go out there and field what you can and do what you can, because there was a lot of players there that won't be part of plans next season. I mean, Clark, who started against Hibs, has already gone out on loan just yesterday. So now I want to see a squad that closely resembles what we're going to go into the first game of the season with, albeit without Ben White for Chelsea. But just show me what you're going with, because Dan, we still don't really know what formation Arteta wants to go with, whether his transition comes through the middle or through the fullbacks. We don't know a lot of things right now. So I need to start knowing what's going to happen before Brentford, Chelsea and Man City in the league. That's when really it matters. But the next 2 games, I just need to see a bit more than we've saw over the last 4. Regardless of 4-1 wins against Watford and Millwall, that doesn't really tell you much. At least with Chelsea and Tottenham, there's a bit of bite there. There's a bit of rivalry there. Regardless of pre-season, we can see whether the mentality and character of the squad is at the right place. Against Watford, Millwall, Hibs, it's pre-season, it's light work. They've just returned from holiday. But this is Chelsea and Tottenham now. This is Chelsea and Tottenham right before the season starts. So show us that you're mentally ready for this season, and show us that you care enough to kind of either listen to Arteta or I don't know what it is. I don't know whether they're not listening enough to Arteta, or whether Arteta is not as good a coach as we all thought he might be because of the Guardiola and Arsene Wenger, comments and whatnot. Rory, you laughed there. What'd you say?
I was just thinking. I was like, he's exactly as good as I thought he was. You said he's not as good as we thought he was going to be. I was thinking, no, he's exactly as good as I thought he was going to be.
In terms of how all the
I know.
happened. Arsene Wenger quotes came out. Pep Guardiola quotes came out. I think one of the ex-Man City players talked about him. I think company.
Do you know what it is though, Turkish? Do you know there was a time when I would put a lot of stock in somebody's opinion, whose opinion. If I respected your opinion, I would then believe it. But do you know where that all changed? Alex Ferguson chose David Moyes, and at that point, I was like, okay, changing the rules.
Rory, you're talking to. Listen, I'm trying to be nice here. I've been called negative too long. When I heard those quotes, I had no belief in them. I'm not going off of quotes to qualify a good manager. I need to see substance. You see everything you said about Conte. That's what I need to see from a manager coming in. Some substance, challenge. Even Unai Emery, for example. I could understand why we went for Unai Emery. We're in the Europa League. He wins the Europa League. He does decent in La Liga. I could understand that. With Arteta, I haven't understood it till today. But hopefully, Chelsea Sunday, we can start understanding.
What do you think?
Sorry.
Do you think you're running a decent team?
A half decent. Do we have a half decent team, Ben? I don't even know about that.
I can't see many of ours playing. They might play against Tottenham on Wednesday. But
that's the problem. It depends on your team as well.
Yeah, I'm more than Tottenham. But
I was just going to say, do you know, like with Chelsea?
Yeah.
We talk about a coach. Now, I know a lot of Chelsea. Me and Rory spoke about the time when it happened. A lot of Chelsea fans weren't happy about Lampard being sacked. Now, the same players that Lampard has, Tuchel's come in and done it. It doesn't matter if you didn't like this manager, didn't like him or not. He changed the perspective. He changed the opinion of every Chelsea fan. The reason he changed the perspective of every Chelsea fan because he started winning games. And that's what it's all about, winning games of football. I don't care what criteria you had before, who you are or what you are. It's what you do for that team. Now, I guarantee when I spoke to Chelsea fans, oh yeah, but he's done brilliant with Dortmund. He's done brilliant. Don't care. But now he's done it for Chelsea. It's all changed, and that is what fans want. And that's the criteria.
This is why we were bringing this up. This is why I was bringing it up when we were sat in 15th, and Thomas Tuchel was sitting there sunning it up. And now let's see how long it takes for Antonio Conte to be sunning it up before we get to November, December.
Same
and
points
this guy's ruined our season again. So
do you know that? We was on the same points when
trust me, I do. Same team. Yeah, same team. Got that team to the Champions League and won it.
Oh, you've mentioned you're the one that's got to be kicked off.
Mate, I was worried about.
I'm going to bring this up. Cyrus, thanks for your kind donation. I've got to bring this up because any club with history should aim to win in any match. It all matters. Pre-season, Community Shield, League Cup, FA Cup. It's about psychology and momentum. It goes back to what Rory was saying, to be honest with you. I think personally, we're going to see a lot in the first 6 games from this manager now. And I'm not giving him any more excuses. I don't want to hear this COVID. I don't want to hear this. We didn't have preseason. I don't want to hear this. He hasn't had his own players. This isn't his team. He needs 17 more transfer windows. I don't want to hear it. Yeah. If he starts playing Willian on the right-hand side, I'm done. If he keeps Bellerin in this side, I'm done. If Xhaka's our midfielder, I'm done. I've seen enough of it last season. Yeah. If Kolasinac is part of this squad, I'm done. I don't want to see this absolute nonsense happening year in, year out. This needs to be learning from mistakes and moving forward as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not taking the preseason as seriously as some people may think, because actually I want to make sure that we're winning the games that matter. And preseason against Chelsea and Spurs would be great to win, of course, but it doesn't mean 3 points like Brentford, Chelsea, City, Norwich and Burnley do. And obviously then we've got the North London derby. And those 6 games for me is 10 points. So I'm thinking we need to get rid of him quickly. None of this wait till Christmas. Yeah, I'll wait till Christmas. What, when we're out again, when we're 12th and out of everything and it's too late. And even Conte can't get us into the top 4. We need to be trying to push for the top 4. It might be unrealistic. Yeah, it might be. Chelsea look good. City look good. Liverpool look good. United have spent money. Leicester, if they keep hold of Maddison and Tielemans, will be back up there. And then it has to be us and Leicester fighting for that top 4 spot, in my opinion, with Manchester United. And that might be unrealistic, yeah? But we have to be looking at that as our ambition, because some of these players in this team, in my opinion, really are not nowhere near as bad as some people say. I think we've got some positives of young players in this side. Sorry, Ben, you were going to come in.
This season, you're aiming for top 4?
100%, mate. 100%. Because, listen, it might be unrealistic. Some people, at the moment, yeah, we're about 7th or 8th. But we need to get these players in to say that we're going to go.
I aim for a +10 bird when I go out, but I never get one.
Top 10
You know what it is? It comes down to expectations and standards, because I'm completely with Dan. My standards are top 4 minimum, but in all honesty, my expectations.
You've got to aim for the top, haven't you? You've got to aim for what Chelsea's. What Chelsea? What do you come on? I'll ask the question. What do you boys? What do you think? What do you think you'll get this season? What are you aiming for?
Yeah,
I personally think we'll get second. I don't unless
you're hoping that you're going to win it, though, aren't you?
Obviously. But if we get Haaland, then I think we've got quite a good chance. To be fair, I just think we need more up front. I think our midfield's decent. I think our back line's decent as well. Obviously, if Zuma goes, we'll probably have to strengthen. But I think if we get an out and out striker, I don't think we win the league with Havertz false 9 up top. But I think we're definitely challenging.
Answer that one, Dan.
That's a good one. Well, I've just got one in here, and I'm going to answer it because it's aimed at me. So if he plays Willian, Xhaka and Bellerin for the first game and wins the first 6 games, will you change your mind, Dan? Be honest, you won't. He knows I won't. I will not change my mind because I've seen Willian, Xhaka and Bellerin enough to know that they're 8th place or top 6 at best. We've not kicked a Champions League football with Granit Xhaka in the side. So I don't want it. I don't care. I do not want
fairy tale question anyway. There's no chance of us 6 wins out of 6.
No, that is 100%. I'll be amazed.
All right, can I ask a question quickly round? Start with you, Dan. All right. Our first 3 games of the season are Brentford, Chelsea, and City. Out of 9 points, what do you think Arsenal will get, Dan?
3.
Lee.
2.
Ben.
Well, Arsenal?
Yeah.
I reckon you'll get 1 win out of them.
So 3 points. Rory?
It's hard, isn't it? Because I think Brentford on the first day, I think Brentford's going to go down, but I think Brentford on the first day is not ideal. It isn't ideal. The night game, it isn't an ideal one. And I think that could be a draw, and then I think you'll lose. I think it's a point, Turkish.
Yeah, I said a point earlier on as well. I can't lie. So I'm kind of with you there. A point against Brentford, and then at the moment with this current squad and setup, 2 L's against Chelsea and City.
Yeah, I think because of home advantage, we might nick the first game back at the Emirates for a very long time. I think maybe we might get a draw against Chelsea, but
when you're in poor form, you always seem to beat us anyway.
That's true.
Well, yeah, I think I just got that. Listen, I've just got a feeling that because we're at home, fans back in the stadium. I think it'll be a big thing.
It'll be a good game. Yeah, it'll be a good game for sure. It won't be a smash. I think it'll be close.
I think Chelsea will win the league.
Do you?
Wow. Go on.
Roman hasn't gone more than 4 years without a league title. It's been 4 years. I just feel like he'll get a 1 or 2 more big signings under his belt. I don't think City and Liverpool have done enough, even with Grealish. I think a season with all that talent that Chelsea had under their belts and 6 months with Tuchel off, I think Chelsea are primed at the moment to win the league.
Do you think City will get Harry Kane?
No. Yes. No.
I think they do, Lee. I think they get both. I think City just get both. I think look, I appreciate that it's unlikely, but I feel like what they'll do is they'll break the British transfer record for Grealish in the next couple of days. They'll drop the 100, and then I don't see why they don't go again. I mean, I've said this today on my channel, and everybody disagreed with me, but I don't see why they don't just then go again for Kane and break the British transfer record again 2 weeks later. Like, I don't see what's stopping them.
They're saying he's quite injury prone, aren't they? Quite injury prone in his old ankle and all that. But I think
what about Chelsea? What do you realistically targets do you think you boys are going to get?
I think
the target is a league. Transfer targets. Yeah, I think it's a centre forward. It's a centre forward.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Lukaku, Haaland.
You think you go for Haaland? You think that's the one they go for?
They're looking at it. It's the 3. Lukaku, Haaland, or Lewandowski. Do you reckon one of those 3?
Yeah, I think it has to be one of those three. I think when you're the European Cup holders, I think you do have your choice. Like, do you remember when we won it in 2012? We signed Eden Hazard because we won the European Cup. He tweeted to that effect. So you can start talking about the top tier. The only it's tricky, isn't it? Because they know that we need a striker. I just don't know if the club will want to spend again. Obviously, we spent a lot of money last summer, and I feel like they want to preserve their investment and hope that, Timo Werner comes good. I think Kai Havertz plays very well as a false nine and Tuchel likes in there. So I don't know, but I would like to, I think for us, if we do make that signing, if we make a marquee centre forward signing, then I think the league is on. Without that, I think we're going to be struggling for the league. But I think we're an excellent team in the cups.
Yeah, agree.
I think I'll come to you on next, Ben. I think if you do get a centre forward, I think you will compete for the title this season. I think you will, because I'm not sure Timo Werner or Kai Havertz get you the 20 or 30 goals that a Lukaku, a Lewandowski, or a Haaland do. So I would fancy what Turkish said. If you got yourself a world-class striker, mate, I really would, because I think with Kane and Grealish, I think the white flags come out. Everyone's going to be like, Kane and Grealish are going to have the ability to walk it for Man City. But Chelsea, I think you could push them with a centre forward, mate.
100%, yeah. I think if we get Haaland, we push him. I don't know about Lukaku. I'm not sure about him. I think he's not past it, obviously, but I think we've had him before. I wouldn't like to get Lukaku back. I don't know what Rory thinks about that, but my whole thing's Haaland. I just want to go out for Haaland out and out. But obviously, if we leave it a year, he's obviously going to go down in price. I think he's got a 3-year deal, isn't he?
Yeah, Eddie, if you want, you can have Eddie back.
Who? No, thanks.
Eddie Nketiah and Lacazette, if you want them both. They're going.
Mate, I'll take Aubameyang.
I bet you would.
Do you know what I do? I like Lukaku because the thing that you get with him, you get Premier League proven.
Yeah,
and
true.
I think that there's something. It's something that we've struggled with over the years. And look, I know all the signs say that Haaland is the guy, and I pretty much believe that he is as well. But we've, when you've been bitten as many times as we have with signing, and I mean the list goes on and on and on with Chelsea, who've had the signing that we thought was going to be the one, and it hasn't quite worked out. With Lukaku, I just don't think there's any jeopardy there. I think he is elite, and I think he's proven it in the Premier League. And I think his time at Manchester United is viewed through the prism of negativity, when I think he was very good. And ultimately, I think he'd be brilliant for Chelsea.
How old is he? He's got to be pushing on, isn't he? He's 29.
He was about from day one. Remember, he was about. Yeah, I don't think he's quite as. I think he's kind of peak years. I don't think he's. You got to remember, he was about for ages. We were aware of Romelu Lukaku when he was about 17. It feels like he's older. It feels like he's older than he is.
Yeah. Would you take him over Haaland?
Surely not.
It's difficult, isn't it? It's not over Haaland because of the age thing and whatever. So the investment is better for Haaland. But in terms of who's a better footballer today in the Premier League, I think the answer is Lukaku, because Lukaku is proven. So, it's the way that I think it's the way I think City could go for Kane. They go for Kane now. People go, but what about Haaland? They'll get Haaland when he's proven he can do it in the Premier League, when he's 25, when he's ready for it. When you can just constantly upgrade the way that they do.
I do think size is quite big for a centre forward in the Premier League. Because do you remember, we had, obviously last year with Werner, I remember he came out with a comment about, I can't remember who it was, but we were playing Brighton. And he came out quite physical.
Yeah. He was like, they're all big, aren't they?
Yeah, I was like,
I remember that. I remember that comment, and it just made me laugh. Speaking of
he's like, quiet, he's like that, quiet. Big,
physical them.
This is the Prem, mate. Welcome.
Talking of comments, I'm going to throw a couple up before we wrap up with predictions. Chris has said, Rory, where's Rory's Rosie Lee Sundays gone? Is that coming back, mate? I know that you enjoy a Rosie Lee yourself.
I've got one going cold behind me. I'll be grabbing it any minute, Dan. But yeah, maybe we'll do the lives on a Sunday.
Yeah, it's got to be done, man. And also another one from Chris. He's having a dig here. You're already done then, mate. Everything you just said is rhetoric. Why not get behind the team? Not within our power to change right now. So come on, you Gunners.
Mate, he's right. He's right.
Oh, here we go. Judges, listen to
behind the team. I keep telling you all.
Lee, we'll see you moaning soon, mate.
Honestly,
trust the process.
Trust the process, or trust the princess, as I like to call it. because that's about as much nonsense that is. Let's get some predictions before we wrap up. Lead judges, let's come to you first, mate. What do you reckon the score is going to be this weekend, man?
2-2.
2-2 Turkish.
1-1. I would say no comment, but I'll throw 1-1 out there.
Okay, cool. Ben?
I'll go 3-1 Chelsea.
Oh, he's optimistic. Well, Rory, come to you. What do you reckon?
Chelsea will win. I'll go 2-0. Nice clean sheet.
Oh, nice clean sheet. Okay, me to finish up. I'm going to agree with lead judges. I think it's going to be a 2-2. So we'll finish there.
What's the fan situation with that?
You know, Desmond.
Yeah, Desmond. Sorry, Ben. Say that again, bro.
What's the old fan situation with that? I know there's no away fans going, is there?
Looking good for home fans. Yeah, good for home fans. I'll be there, but I have to bring it up. And I wasn't going to bring this up, but I won't be sitting near lead judges this weekend because lead judges is sitting in the posh seats.
No.
So I'm going to be sitting there.
Diamond Club. The old Chelsea fans can't get in there. The old director's box. I'll be forcing a few signings over the line. Don't worry about that.
Anyone in the chat? If anyone in the chat wants us to sign someone, put it in, and lead judges will make it happen.
I'll do my bit. I will try and push it through.
Absolutely. Turkish, are you going or not?
No. Fuck that.
No. Fair play. Fair play. Probably wise, to be honest.
Such a jolly old fella, really.
Well, maybe if I got invited to the Diamond Club, maybe I'll come and find Josh. But you know.
Yeah, you go then. My job was with you. I wasn't going, and they said, "You've been invited to Dark." I said, "I'll be there."
You know it, man. Let's wrap this up, boys. Turkish, absolute pleasure having you on, man. I hope you can come on again soon, man.
No worries, man. Obviously, it's a pleasure, man. Anytime.
Cheers, my man.
Ben, thank you so much, man. It's great.
Cheers,
to
guys. It's been fun.
Cheers, boys.
See you soon.
Cheers, Ben.
Take it easy.
Cheers, boys.
It's Lead Judges TV for all my gooners, all my gunners. Yeah, you know where to be. Subscribe to the channel, cause you know it's a lot with the legendary judges and the one damn pot.